Okay. Mindful fireworks. That'll be good. So topic for this evening is freedom. I haven't thought. Well, I have thought. I have thought about it a bit. Still have no idea what the conclusions are. So we'll see over the course of the next half an hour how we go.
No notes today.
No notes. It's all going to come from the ether and the cosmos. Will deliver some knowledge, some insight. I thought let's start with a little mindful exercise then, and then we can begin to explore on. We can explore freedom. See, I've completely forgotten what the topic was. Never mind now what we're going to talk about. But then we'll explore freedom. Let's begin with the movements, because I know that's one of our suspects.
Yes, it is.
So do some arms. You might like this, Emma. All we do is, and you can do it eyes open or eyes closed. It's entirely up to you, however you see fit. But all we do is, as we breathe in, we bring the arms together until the hands touch at the top or the fingers touch, however you choose to do it. And then as you breathe out, you bring them down. Simple as that. Breathe in, bring the arms up and together. Breathe out and bring them down. And as you do that, just be aware of the movement. Be aware of how your arms are moving, up and down, how it feels in your shoulders, how it feels along your arms, what it feels like when your hands connect. How it feels in your chest as you breathe while your hands move. And as you breathe out, just allow yourself to relax into the present moment. Good. When you're ready, you can relax your arms and open your eyes. For our newest visitor, we should say a little bit about what this group is. And the focus is on being in the present moment. So we don't worry about things that have happened in the past, because the past is gone and we can't change it. We can't do anything about what happened yesterday, so it's not worth worrying about. Likewise, we can't worry about things that are going to happen in the future. There's no point worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We can guess, we can have a little bit of a think about it, but ultimately, we don't know. So it's not worth worrying about. The only moment in time that actually exists is this moment right now. This is the only moment that we can experience being alive. And so the things that we talk about and the exercises that we do when we meet, and hopefully that people do outside of this meeting, are just all about helping people to be in the present moment. In this moment right now, or this moment right now. Or this moment right now, so that we don't worry about the past and we don't worry about the future, and we can enjoy being alive, because being alive is the most wonderful, precious, exciting, greatest thing that there is. Okay, and so for this week, talking about freedom. And there's lots of different aspects to freedom, different elements of freedom, and we all like to think that we are free, that we have freedom. And the first one that came to mind was freedom of speech. We like to, certainly, living in the Western world, And particularly in more modern times, where we have the internet and everybody has this platform with which they can project their views onto the world, we feel that we must have freedom of speech, the freedom to express our ideas and the freedom to express our opinions without retribution or without punishment. Now, yes, we are all entitled to, we should all be free to express ourselves and to speak freely. But bringing that to a mindful context, my thoughts around that, and particularly in terms of the way that certain people do express their thoughts and their ideas, is how much of that activity is people actually being free to express themselves? Or are they merely expressing, is it merely their ego exerting control? You know, is people's determination to express their thoughts, is it just their ego acting, or are they actually freely expressing it? And what do you guys think?
Probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
Thinking the same thing.
I agree. I think a lot. I mean, certainly, I sort of hinted at online. You know, you look at what the way people comment and communicate on Facebook and on YouTube and on the commenting facility there, and a lot of it goes unmonitored and unpoliced because it's all about freedom of speech. But a lot of it is just about people expressing their own opinions and often expressing their own vitriol, but it's their ego talking. It's I've got an idea, my idea is important, I'm going to defend my idea, even though perhaps it's not open and inclusive and loving and friendly, which obviously are things that we like to practice and communicate and project to the world, openness and love and friendship and camaraderie. And so I think that often a lot of that is the ego. And we know, I've talked before about ego and how it's not a mindful activity. When our ego is defending our ideas and our ego is trying to present a particular argument, or our ego is reacting to comments that have been made, it's not a mindful response. You know, that's something that I often talk about, is reaction and response. You know, when people react, they react at an emotional level, or they react at an egotistical level. It's not them being mindful and stepping back and being open and inclusive. So I don't think that in those circumstances it's particularly free. I don't think there's a lot of freedom there, because people are slaves to their own ego. You know, if slavery is the ultimate polar opposite of freedom, then that kind of expression, that freedom of speech, isn't actually freedom. It's slavery to the ego. It's being bound by those ideas which our egos hold on to. An ego is a very damaging thing. So hopefully by practicing mindfulness and being mindful, being in the moment, and being able to respond appropriately to whatever the current moment presents us with, frees us from that and allows us to be free in our speech because it's appropriate.
Maybe also when we're expressing our opinion, if we're not mindful of how other people would react or feel, you put something negative in there, or we do it with, if we swear or something like that, you know, it's not really being mindful of other people. I mean, there is a case where you should just be yourself and just say what you want, what you think, but usually that doesn't carry much weight with other people if you offended them.
No,
you know,
exactly right.
You know, if you can just be, as you said earlier, loving in what you're saying, you're more likely to get a message across, or it's more likely to get the effect that you're looking for, really.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, mindfulness is a great way for developing people's communication skills. Because if you can be mindful in the moment, then you're not judging what other people say to you. You're not going, oh, that's what you said to me last week, and you were wrong last week, so you're obviously going to be wrong again this week.
People work out what they're going to say, like I was talking about before. You know, I'm saying something, and I'll say, I'll use an example, and you could be working out what you're going to say.
That's very common.
I haven't said it yet. I don't know, my partner's quite frustrated, actually.
It's very common that people rehearse conversations, they rehearse scenarios. They'll say this, and then I can say this, and then they'll say that, and then I can come back with this really killer lie, which will convince them that I'm right. And of course, the conversation never pans out like that.
Because I don't know what I'm saying, did it?
Exactly. And it's... No, go on.
Even when you're listening to somebody, your mind can drift off from that moment. You're not listening to that voice, that moment in the time. Your head's going off thinking, right, you've just made something, pinged something, like you've remembered something as a result of what you've said, and you go off on a tangent, or maybe not tangent.
You go back to that row that you had 6 months ago.
And you have to bring yourself back to conversation. And
exactly right.
Sometimes it's not even that bit. I think, well, if I'm listening properly, it's completely different.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So freedom of speech has as much to do with freedom of listening in the moment as it does to what actually comes out of the cake hole.
What I said was on the face with freedom carries with it responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah, it does. It does. A responsibility to listen and to empathise. And so the most valuable thing, or the most beneficial thing that you can do, is just take that breath before you actually engage mouth. You know, people say engage brain before mouth. Actually, you don't have to.
No.
Respond,
just
react.
Engage the breath first.
Breath, not even brain breath.
And then respond. Yeah. And that's freeing your speech, freeing your communication. Okay, let's do another little exercise. Let's have I know. Who did the clapping one? Was anybody here when we did the clapping? Did you do the clapping?
Yeah, I did.
No, I missed that one.
I think, yes, I was.
You did clapping.
No, I missed clapping.
We'll do clapping. I quite like the clapping. So the object of this one is we all clap together. And what you do is you follow me. So you're looking at me. And when I clap, you clap. And the aim is that it isn't 6 random claps. It's one clap. You'll see. The best way is to just be the clap. I won't say do the clap, or be the clap. Okay. So you just watch me, and when I clap, you clap. Ready? I'm not going to count you in or anything. You have to be in the moment and respond. Rubbish. Here we go. See? It starts off really ropey, and then within 2 claps, everybody's tuned in. One clap. Two more.
For Sam.
You see, I saw it on the television. And it was like a team bonding thing.
I wonder what that'd be like doing your eyes closed, wouldn't it?
Well, we could try. It'd be like Star Wars then. You know when Luke puts the helmet on and he has to tune in and use the Force. Maybe we could try that.
I reckon we could put it on.
But yeah, I saw it, and they were doing it as a team building thing, and it sounds slightly sad, but it was McBusted. You know McFly and Busted, the two boy bands. They got together, McBusted, and they were doing it. I was watching a documentary about it. They were doing it as like this team bonding thing, and I thought, actually, that's not a team bonding. That's a mindful exercise. That's them all just being in the moment and engaged. So I appropriated it from there. But it works. It's nice. I like that. Okay. Freedom. Another aspect of freedom, obviously, and I suppose we've hinted at it, is physical confinement. You know, I suppose that's the big thing that we all think of in terms of freedom, is that we think of, if you're incarcerated, if you're locked up in prison, you're not free. Freedom is what we all enjoy, being able to go out of the house, walk around, go to the shops, and watch television when we want, or when Mum says we can watch television, and be with the people that we want to be with. And yes, in terms of definitions of freedom, that's right up there. And I think you can expand that element of incarceration such that there are people who are free in that they're not locked up, but feel incarcerated to some extent. There are people who are have an illness. And I'm sure your mum probably she was here the other week. It was lovely to see her, and you saw you bringing her in the chair, which was heartbreaking. And I would imagine she probably feels quite unfree. Yeah. She probably feels very incarcerated, even though she's not imprisoned. I'm sure she feels a lot of that. So it's not that element of freedom, the idea of incarceration. It extends beyond merely being locked up. There are other elements of physical imprisonment which we can all which we can all succumb to.
Regimes,
exactly.
Career.
Yeah, exactly. So a political regime that restricts your physical movement, restricts what you're allowed to think, where you're allowed to go.
Like freedom of mind, if you like mental health problems, is that like freedom? Sometimes I get all.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, exactly right.
It's hard to explain. But
depression and anxiety.
Not
only are they debilitating physically, but can feel incredibly make you feel very enclosed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So there's one that you feel isolated, which is a removal of your freedom. If you're isolated, you feel that you
can't go out.
But you feel on your own. You feel isolated. So that's definitely your freedom being impaired and hampered. And also, your capacity to think freely and to make choices. Because I suppose that's freedom, isn't it? It's freedom to choose.
Free will.
Yeah, to have free will, to choose what it is you would like to do, where it is you want to go. Exactly right. And so, certainly those that have mental health issues suffer with their mental health, either because it's anxiety or depression or phobias or whatever, have that involuntarily thrust upon them. So they would feel their freedom was being hampered. So what's the mindful solution, the mindful take on that? And what's fantastic about mindfulness, is the one thing, whether you are incarcerated physically, emotionally, mentally, in whatever capacity, the one thing that people cannot remove from you is your experience of the present moment. So the absolute nub of mindfulness, the absolute truth of mindfulness, that your experience at the present moment is absolute. That is the one thing that cannot be removed from you. In whatever situation you find yourself in the present moment, whether you are in the throes of, as unpleasant as it might be, whether you are in the throes of an attack of depression, or you've been locked up, or you're confined to a wheelchair because your body's disintegrating, whether you are a victim of an oppressive regime and you are told what you can read and what clothes you can wear and how your hair should be cut.
In a relationship and they feel trapped.
That's it, true as well. That's incredibly oppressive. But in all of those situations, the one thing that you still have that nobody can remove from you is your experience of the present moment. And that is absolute freedom. Freedom to experience the present moment. Your freedom to be alive and to experience your life in the present moment. Because it cannot be taken away from you. It just cannot be removed from you. Possibly through death, but that's getting a little bit too heavy. We'll leave that for now. And so, if you are able to cultivate your mindful practice and be mindful and practice mindfulness and practice the exercises, then ultimately, I hope, you will always be free, because you can never be incarcerated or feel trapped, because you always have the present moment. You always have your experience of the present moment. That's not to say that what the present moment presents to you isn't always, it's not always great. And we've talked about that before. We've talked about the developing the ability to accept what the present moment offers you. But if you can do that, then you will always be free. One hopes. It must be. I can only imagine that the way that certain, you think of certain figures, people like Nelson Mandela, who spent all those years. Think about those political criminals out in Thailand, out in Korea, under house arrest for years and years and years. Out in Nepal, places like that. The only way they get through that must be through, they must cultivate mindfulness in order to be able to survive that. You couldn't do it purely by creating some, fantasy world in which to go off to, because you'd go crazy. The only way that you can maintain your freedom is to develop a mindful practice. I like to think. What do you think? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there you go. The secret of absolute freedom is just acceptance in the present moment. That was deeper than I thought I would go.
It's quite heavy tonight, isn't it?
Right. In that case, let's sit and be mindful for a moment. We'll do another exercise. So let's engage the senses. Let's begin by having a look around. Being free to look around. What's the song? How's the song go? I'm free to do what I want any old time. I'm free to look around, see what I can see. Free up my eyes to absorb the light. And when you've had a look around, you can close your eyes And bring your awareness to your body and what you can feel. So you can feel your head on top of your neck, on your shoulders. You can feel gravity pulling down on your shoulders and your arms. You can feel gravity pulling down through your spine, down through your bottom into the chair. You can feel your feet in contact with the floor. You can be aware that there is clothes against your skin. And you can take a breath through your nose and just smell. Just be aware of smell at this moment. And then taste. Be aware of the taste in your mouth at this moment in time, right now. And then be aware of sound. Just be aware of the fact that at this moment in time you are free to allow sound into your ears and accept sound. So just for the next few moments, just listen. Be aware of sound as it happens, moment by moment. And if your mind wanders, if you find yourself thinking about other things, that's fine, doesn't matter. Just bring your awareness back to listening. The sound of the bowl. Good. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. When I was inviting the bowl to sound, I had a little thoughts about freedom. And then I was aware that my mind had wandered. And I went back to listening. And now I've completely forgotten. completely forgotten what it was that I was going to say, actually. And it was actually really good. What was it?
People often say, oh, that's, I've spoken to somebody, it's a weight off my mind. Is that the same sort of thing, like a mindful thing?
Definitely.
Or you say, oh, that's a weight off my mind. Now I've said something, I don't know, whatever the circumstance would be, you know,
Yes.
in trouble, I'd speak to a friend and say, oh, that's a weight off my mind.
Yes.
I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yes, it is. And it's reminding me of what I was going to say.
Oh, right.
Thank you for that.
That's all right.
Okay.
I was actually thinking about that when I was...
The clap goes deeper.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. It does. It does. It does. The present moment always gives us what we need. Yes. So the weight of the mindful that you're talking about, I suppose two aspects to that. First is there's that communication. So when that happens, it means you've communicated mindfully because you've been able to express what it is. And
you know?
the person that you're talking to has listened.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's big.
And because they've listened, that then
It's not always their
becomes,
opinion,
yeah,
it's just getting that off.
it becomes a shared experience.
Yeah, shared, that's it.
That's right. And the other thing that I was going to mention in terms of freedom was freedom from stuff and freedom from thoughts and ideas. And it's something I've spoken about before, stuff. You know, we all accumulate stuff, we all have negative thoughts and ideas about things which are stuff. We have labels that we adhere to things. You know, that's good, that's bad, don't want that to happen, must avoid that, going to embrace that. It's all labels, it's all stuff, and it prevents us from being free. So, being mindful means that we don't label things, we accept them for being as they are in this moment in time. So we become free of stuff. And I'm not talking about, you know, giving away all of your worldly possessions and running off to live on some commune in the Welsh mountains, drinking nettle wine and, you know, cavorting with smelly people. It's not that. It's not freeing yourself in that respect, you know. Because, you know, if you want to do that, fine, that's great. Feel free to go off and feel free, Emma, to go to Wales and live on a commune with smelly people. That's fine. But you don't have to. You can, you know, you can live in Deal and have a house and a job and a family and all that kind of stuff. But cultivate some mindfulness and be free of labelling things. Be free of wanting stuff. Be free of wanting stuff to be different. That's the real killer. People want things, want stuff to be different to how it is, and it can't be. We can make steps, you know. We can if we really want something to happen, we can make steps to change it, but we must do it mindfully. And we don't get hung up on the desire. We don't get hung up on the end result. We don't get hung up on wanting stuff.
Is that to do with greed again? Like
Kind of, yeah, because often it's driven by ego.
Yeah, I want this, I want that. I do it myself, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. And because we've labelled stuff, because we've labelled it, well, that's bad and that's good. So I don't want the bad stuff, I want the good stuff. And we want to change things to be more good, or we want to change people to make them more good, make them like we want them to be. Yeah. You know, we want to change situations, we want to change, you know, we just want to change stuff. And then we become bogged down, weighed down by those desires, by that stuff. And we're not free. We're not free of those ideas. We become imprisoned by them. And we're not mindful. And if we're not mindful, we are not free. As we discovered about 20 minutes ago.
I thought it's meant to get easier as I keep coming these weeks.
No. No, it doesn't get easier. No, you just learn how to breathe. Just keep breathing. That's all you have to do is breathe. So let's breathe. We'll breathe for a few minutes and then you can go and watch the fireworks. So when we begin our awareness of the breath, and if you choose to, it's quite nice, you can place a finger under your nose. And this isn't so that you can smell your finger.
Everyone's laughing.
She's got a cold, she's all...
Well, then you'll be even more aware of your breath, or the fact that you're struggling to breathe. But if you place a finger under your nose, you can feel the movement of air. You can feel the breath and be aware of the breath as it enters and leaves your body. So just for the next few moments, just be aware of breathing in, breathing out. That's it, nothing more than breathing. After a few breaths, you can lower your finger and you can move your awareness to your breath in your chest. And be aware of the movement as your chest rises and falls with each individual breath as it happens. In and out, up and down. Then you can become aware of the breath down at your diaphragm, the bottom of your stomach. When you breathe out, you can push all of the air out of your lungs. Breathe out completely, so that you take an entirely fresh breath. For the next few moments, just follow your breath in and out as it happens. And you will be experiencing absolute freedom. By just following the breath for the next few moments, you cannot be aware or feel or be, that's the important one, you cannot be freer than you are following that breath. So breathe in and feel alive. Breathe out and smile. And then allow yourself to feel free and be free in the pause between breaths. Breathe in and feel alive. Breathe out and smile. And be free in the pause. I invite you to make your way, as I am a slave to my stomach. And I have not had my dinner